Welcome to The Verdict. I'm Kent Myers. As you can tell, we're not on our regular set this morning. We're in Tulsa, and I am in Tulsa. Mick Cornett is not here and won't be here for the next couple of weeks. He's doing some city business, but he sends his regards, particularly to our guest, whom you'll meet in a minute. We are really pleased to be able to broadcast from Tulsa this next three shows because we think it's easier for scheduling some guests we've really been wanting to get on and haven't been able to work it out logistically. Second, it's a different look, a different set. And third, the people we get to work with in Cox over here in Tulsa are just wonderful, just like our Oklahoma City crew, but it's good to get to see them from time to time. I have a little announcement to make. We have a brand new sponsor joining the show this week for the foreseeable future. OU Medicine is coming on, and we'll be telling you about their doctors, their programs, and we're really pleased that they would join us and commit to us to be sponsoring our show. And we, of course, make a mutual commitment to them to provide good shows for our viewers. And that's what we're going to do today. We're very honored today to have a gentleman whom you'll meet in just a minute, the Honorable Dewey Bartlett, Jr., the mayor of the city of Tulsa. We've had Mayor Bartlett on a couple of times before, and he always does a grand job. It's time for our viewers, both in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, on our show to hear from the mayor, and you'll get a chance to today. We're looking forward to that. So sit back. We're going to take a little break here for commercials, and we'll be back and meet Mayor Dewey Bartlett, Jr. for the city of Tulsa. You're watching The Verdict.
Fortunate enough to premiere every film that I've produced at Sundance. Seeing your film on the big screen for the first time in front of an audience at the Sundance Film Festival is unmatched. I'm Chad Burris. I'm an attorney, a film producer, film financier, economic development financier, and I'm Chickasaw. Nobody can argue that modern day media, cinema, has perpetuated this myth, this idea of the Indian and what that is. And just the idea that, all Indians look one way or all Indians act one way is a terrible injustice. Being able to have filmmakers tell stories that are representative of some element of his surroundings, his upbringing, what they know, what they see through their own eyes, that other people get a chance to bear witness to around the world. I think that's amazing. For me personally, being an Indian today means being responsible, honest, progressive, and giving that back to the community.
Learn more about today's Chickasaws at profilesofenation.com.
It's a North American energy revolution. We're the fastest growing source of new oil and natural gas supplies in the world.
The shift to North American energy will create approximately 3 million jobs.
All that money we've been sending overseas, $400 billion a year. Imagine that staying in our economy. It's a game changer.
Real energy independence starts now, and it starts with Oklahoma.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Kent Myers here, flying solo without Mick Cornett, but he will be back in a couple of weeks. We're really pleased today to have join us on our set in Tulsa the Honorable Dewey Bartlett, Jr., the mayor of the city of Tulsa. Dewey has been on the show a time or two before, and we're really pleased to have him back, and because we want an update on what he's been doing and what's going on in Tulsa. Dewey did his undergraduate work at Regis University in Denver, did his graduate work at Southern Methodist University, where he got an MBA degree. He has been president of Keener Oil Company for a number of years and still is. He is involved in a lot of fine organizations around the state and nation in promoting the oil and gas business, as well as other charitable events and activities. He has agreed to come on today and kind of bring us up to date on what's going on in the city of Tulsa. So, Mayor, really glad to have you.
Well,
Welcome.
it's such a treat to have you over here. Thank you very much.
Well, the folks over, it's a pleasure to come over here because the folks that you all can't see right now, but behind the cameras and up in the control room just do a wonderful job taking care of us, and we really do appreciate it. Well, congratulations on your reelection.
Thank you. That was a long campaign, but that's over, and now we're moving ahead, and it's nice to have that behind us.
Well, I suspect that does wear on you a good bit, but congratulations on your margin of victory. It's clear the citizens had their voices heard.
Well, we're very fortunate. Thank you.
Well, let me ask you, what are the major issues? We're going to come back and talk about each one probably, but just kind of list for me the major issues that are being faced by you and the city of Tulsa currently.
I'd say top of the list is the revenue situation for the city government. By law, we have to count on sales taxes as our major and really sole source of revenue from taxes. Related to that is the internet sales and how that is taking away a considerable amount of purchasing outside of our city limits and therefore not paying taxes. So that's a difficult problem.
So if a Tulsa resident buys something on the internet and one of those websites where you can do such things and makes a purchase, there may be some taxes to be paid by that purchaser, but one of them is not a city sales tax that Tulsa benefits from.
That's correct. Normally, most of the sellers, the people that are receiving the money, normally they won't charge the sales tax. In some cases they do, but most often they don't. And it's really a tax that by law should be paid and should be collected by the seller and then remitted to the state of Oklahoma to be given to the various municipalities and county and state government as well.
Well, now this, I guess, is not just picking on Tulsa. All the municipalities in Oklahoma are treated the same way, I suppose.
Oh yeah, everybody.
Is it nationwide, or are there some states where state or city sales taxes are collected and paid by the seller?
Some states are, but most, from what I am told, are not. It depends on the size of the state, existing legislation that they might have, and certainly if that particular company is a large company and is located within that state, then that's where they have a...
Gets them for a different reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, do you see any change in the foreseeable future in this situation?
I don't see it soon because it's going to require really our leadership in Washington, in the Congress, to enact legislation requiring that internet sales, that the initiator of the sale collect and then remit those taxes to the parties that should be receiving them. It's a difficult political question because many of those in Congress, of course, they're running for re-election now,
yes,
and they don't want to be put in a position of where their opponent would say, hey, you can't support or shouldn't support so-and-so because they want to increase your taxes, even though this is not a tax increase, it's simply collecting taxes that are normally paid. So until we get the election behind us, I don't see any opportunity for us to get that legislation passed. Hopefully when the election is behind us, that the Congress will get together in both the House and the Senate and support and promote that legislation.
So if there's not federal legislation, the Oklahoma legislature couldn't do it on its own?
Not that I'm told. I know that we have approached the Oklahoma legislature, and they have pretty adamantly said we won't do anything until the federal government takes a position. It really is difficult because it hurts not only most of our municipal governments as well as the county governments around the state of Oklahoma. It's a real impediment towards small business. Any business that's located in Tulsa, I hear complaints, and I know all cities have the same problem, where someone will come in, look at a particular item, whether it's clothes or electronic equipment, whatever, try it out, see if they like the color, et cetera, and then go out in the parking lot, get in a cell phone, and place an order. So, and that's hard. It really is tough.
Well, that's what in the antitrust law would be called free riding. The local businesses are having to expend training, money, time, resources in educating the purchaser, and then someone else gets the benefit of the purchase activity.
It is hard, and as I said earlier, all cities are having to deal with this problem. I've talked with Mayor Cornett, and we just talked a few days ago about this issue, and we've agreed to try to work through the Oklahoma Municipal League, and we want to put together a statewide task force to deal with this issue and come up with a strategy and possibly some alternatives that we might suggest once the federal Congress does the right thing.
Oh, so we're really looking at a several step process before you and Oklahoma City might get together on something. There's first of all got to be the election of 2014 go
Correct.
by, and then Congress has got to act to empower the states or cities to do this, and then you'd get your task force rolling.
Yes, we would probably get the task force at least discussed and get the Oklahoma Municipal League involved with it, because we do need to educate our local representatives and members of the state Senate. So as this is going on, if we're able to get the state legislature, for example, to express a desire for the federal delegation to support this issue, I think that would be good. So I think we'll probably start the task force fairly soon.
Would you be able to do your task force and your municipal taxing event, if you will, if you are not authorized to do so by the state legislature?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
That may be a tough sell, then, I suspect.
Could be, but we really believe that once the municipalities become engaged and that we're able to stand up in a unified way and voice the need we have, because at the end of the day, if things keep going as they are, municipal governments will be squeezed so tightly that we'll have to really have a sharp decrease in several vital services like police and fire protection, for example.
Yeah.
And if we get to that point, well then who's going to take up the slack?
Well, I want to come back to that after our break, but we've got a break right now for some commercials to keep our show on the air. You're watching The Verdict with the Honorable Dewey Bartlett Jr., the Mayor of the City of Tulsa. We'll be right back.
When you have something important to communicate, it becomes clear that there's a lot of competition for your audience's attention. So how can your message stand out and actually resonate with your audience? Legal Graphics has the answers. The team at Legal Graphics will work with you to plan, design, and even test your presentation to ensure your message will be heard and remembered. Call Legal Graphics today to schedule an appointment. The readiness is all.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
Welcome back to The Verdict this Sunday morning and subsequent mornings after today. We're really pleased today to have the Honorable Dewey Bartlett Jr. join us as the Mayor of the City of Tulsa, recently re-elected. We talked about that a little bit. When we broke, we were talking about internet sales and sales tax on those transactions. Do you have any way to quantify, Mayor, just what a difference that might make in the city's budget if you had that revenue?
My guess is that it would have a impact of about 10 to 15% of what our sales tax receipts are. So it'd be a very significant amount of money.
What's your gross revenue in the course of a year, roughly?
It would have an effect on our general fund of about $20 million, $15 to $20 million,
Wow.
which is a huge amount of money, and would go a long way to help us fund our core services, obviously, which is police and fire protection, public safety.
Well, let's talk about that now.
Sure.
Do you feel like that you have adequate police and fire protection on the streets now, or does it need to be supplemented?
It's adequate, but it needs to be supplemented. And we have proposed to our city council a public safety plan that would reprioritize an existing sales tax that's expiring in about 2 years, and a portion of it, 2/10 of a penny, would be focused on public safety. And this would provide us $14 million a year that would be set aside in a separate fund, and it would allow for the hiring of several additional police officers, firefighters, dedicated crews to maintain our city street system, but it'll be done in such a way that it would pay for their training, their salaries, their benefits, all this for 10 to 20 years very easily. And that would free up a lot of pressure on our existing general fund. We just finished having our budget approved by the city council last week, and we had to make a lot of significant cuts, about $17 million in what was presented to us initially, and that really put a real large amount of pressure on our other existing departments and what they needed. So if we had this opportunity to have a separate fund for public safety purposes, it would free up a lot of funding that we could use for increased help in parks and all the other great things that we have in our city.
Well, would you put police and fire protection near the top of the list or at the top of the list of things you'd like to see increased?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a real core service that all municipalities provide. Public safety, clean water system, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, that as well, obviously. Parks Department is very, very important to the city of Tulsa, but top of the list is public safety, always has been.
Well, I drove up this morning and got to take a little trip across your river coming into town. Tell us what's going on with the river development here in Tulsa with the Arkansas River.
Well, of course, we always talk about let's get water in the river, and we will accomplish that this year, at least the beginning phase of it. We presently have a low water dam, but unfortunately it's fairly old and it's been leaking for quite a while. There's some gates that are involved with this that are being repaired and should be repaired by the end of the year. And at that point, we'll once again see water in the river continuously. And that will give us a very good perspective on and remind us about what this great asset of ours that goes 11 miles through our city, what it would look like with a series of lakes.
What types of development activities would you envision taking place down on the river if you had water in the river all the time like you needed it?
Well, what's interesting, Ken, is right now we're seeing two very significant developments that are in the beginning stages. The Creek Nation, the casino they've announced about a $250 million investment in what they will call Margaritaville. It'll be about a 25-story hotel right on the river, several hundred rooms, convention center, all sorts of things like that, plus their casino. And then further north at about 31st Street and Riverside Drive will be the Gathering Place. And this is a very generous gift by George Kaiser, his family foundation, and other large companies such as Williams Company and several others. And that's about a $350 million deal that will essentially be a central park for the city of Tulsa that will encompass about 75 acres.
Wow.
It's going to be just incredible what that will see. But it will really showcase our river. It will showcase the lakes that will be created in our river eventually. But it will begin, I believe, things such as commercial building along the river, such as office buildings, office complexes, certainly residential use, whether it's high rise or low rise. But I think we'll see that on both sides of the river. We've seen it so often in other cities in our country where river development really spurns a tremendous amount of investment. And then there's always the entertainment aspect of it. We already have river park system on both sides of our river. We already have a terrific trail system of about 150, 200 miles throughout our community, including the river. But it will just enhance that type of entertainment more, that it will become a showpiece when we're able to show people what it's like to live in Tulsa and look at the crown jewel, which is our river development. It will really give an example of what to expect when people move and live in Tulsa.
Well, it's exciting.
It is very.
And you've got a beautiful river to work with.
Oh, it's fortunate. I mean, it's something. Obviously, Oklahoma City did extremely well with their river development, all the great things that happened with it. The rowing facility that Chesapeake helped fund and Devon is involved with as well. I mean, it just really gives a great example of what can happen when a community uses its assets well and spends money accordingly.
Well, what other projects are you working on that were on your desk when you reassumed the desk after being reelected that you'd like to tell our viewers about?
Well, one thing that's pretty interesting to me is we have an aviation component in the city of Tulsa that's pretty incredible.
Yes.
American Airlines has their maintenance facility here. It's the largest non-military maintenance base in the world, about 7,000 employees.
Now, you were able to maintain that, were you not, even though American went into bankruptcy?
We were very good. Yes, we did. Yeah. And they went through their bankruptcy. Right. We rallied behind the eventual merged company. We helped them get through that process.
And they made a deal with their unions, I guess, on the issues they had.
They did. They made deals with their unions. The new company, a merger between the old American Airlines and U.S. Airways, brought in new management. So I think good things will be coming out of that. But one thing that became very apparent was that we have a significant demand for that type of activity, aircraft maintenance, aircraft mechanics, all these. And we hear frequently that there's not enough of them to go around. There's a big demand for them. So if we're able to...
Those would be high-paying jobs.
They're very high-paying jobs, very, very good benefits, great for families, family support, et cetera. So if we're able to provide a pipeline of people into that demand, then we really will accomplish something. So we're in the process of setting up, hopefully soon, what we call an aviation high school that will provide in our high school system a focus on aviation, on all aspects of it, whether it's engineering, mechanics, repairs, avionics, all these things that will expose a high school student to that type of activity. Therefore, being located on the airport, which is in an area that generally is a lower economic developed part of town, and it would provide an opportunity to those that have not seen that kind of opportunity before.
We only have about 30 seconds left, I'm sorry to say, because we could talk for a lot longer. But what would you like to leave the viewers with watching, be they in Oklahoma City or Tulsa? What can they expect from their city government in the next short term?
Well, what I think is great is that Mick Cornett and I have such a terrific relationship.
Yeah.
And the major cities.
He feels the same way, by the way.
Well, he's a terrific guy, and we talk on the phone fairly often and see each other socially, and having that type of relationship, that collaboration. We all know that Oklahoma is a little bit down to scale from political influence in Washington, D.C. So as we approach things collaboratively, whether it's our governments along with our state highway system, all the different players, the governor, both Mick and I get along with her obviously very, very well, but we collaborate. And when we can do that, we can accomplish a lot of things, and a lot of good things happen for the state of Oklahoma.
I'm afraid that's going to have to be our last word because we're out of time, but thank you so much. Thanks for coming and joining us today and being with our viewers as well as me. We really do appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome.
You've been visiting with the Honorable Dewey Bartlett Jr., the Mayor of the City of Tulsa. I'll be right back.
The human body, an amazing machine. What we're capable of is astonishing. If we look to what makes us human, we find that life is more than a heartbeat, and hope is more than an idea. That knowledge moves us forward, and our community keeps us together. OU Medicine is at its heart, keeping Oklahoma alive and well.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
I think for us, once we got started and we began to see the tremendous need just within our state, it really was just a calling for us. The blessings far outweigh any obstacles that we've faced.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
And for almost 30 years, Oklahoma political, government, and business leaders have turned to the McCarville Report for accurate, reliable, inside information. Visit the McCarville Report online.
We're back. You're watching The Verdict. We were very pleased today to have the Honorable Mayor Dewey Bartlett Jr. from the City of Tulsa join us. If you want to get in touch with the mayor, you can get on his website, cityoftulsa.org, and our website, theverdict.tv, is available to you to tell us what kind of show you'd like to see. We're out of time. For Mick Cornett, see you next week.